ZOS just released a new class feedback survey, and while I do wanna commend them for trying to communicate, the survey is simply bad. To many of the questions, the only honest answer you could give is, what are you even talking about? Are we even playing the same game? The biggest issue is how out of touch the survey feels. It reads like it was written by corporate suits who have never actually played ESO. The questions are phrased as if subclassing was something completely different than it really is. One of the questions is, I have the tools to play Arcanist as a tank. And you could answer strongly agree, and that would be true. But that's not the point. That's not what people are complaining about. You do have the tools to be an effective Arcanist tank, but you have zero incentive to do so, because a subclass tank build will be better at everything, will provide more support, and will be easier to play. And I'm not the only one pointing this out. A lot of the pain points of the survey have already been articulated really well by players in the Reddit thread, where Kevin posted it. I will read some of them because they articulate the issues better than I could. I really tried, but it's so hard to answer those questions in a meaningful way. Subclassing has taken the shine of every single class. Can I effectively tank as a non-subclass DK? Yes, but I will be worse at it than every subclass tank. Can I effectively heal as a pure Templar? Yes, but I will be worse at it and provide less than any subclass healer. There's nothing that any class is good enough at anymore, and class identity is meaningless. I like the utility that subclassing brought to the game, but I don't like how weak every pure class is in comparison. Doing that survey just made me sad. And it's not just Reddit. Skinny's Discord also had some excellent comments breaking down exactly why the survey was misleading. After looking at the class survey and comparing it to other ones I filled out, it really feels like they word these things to avoid actionable information. Every class has unique appearance, technically has opportunities for unique playstyles, and has some passives that are useful when subclassed. But that doesn't actually matter when some skills, or lines, are objectively outclassed, or have varying levels of redundancy. The answers they allow only seem to leave room to be kind of right or wrong, and I have a feeling they'll use these responses to put out bullshit articles or survival guides to tell people that content is clearable while gimping your performance with roleplay builds, instead of improving their design framework. And the same can be seen on official forums. It's good that you're putting out the survey, and this time around I think you're doing a good job promoting that survey in the relevant places. The only improvement in that regard would be if you sent a system mail to players in game with a link to the survey, but so far so good. It's a step in the right direction. Unfortunately, I can't give much praise to the contents of the survey. Rating effectiveness to play DPS, when all of us can just subclass Arcanist? What even are classes? Try explaining to a new player what a class is in this game post-subclassing, and you'll quickly understand the trouble you've caused. All they are is the class mastery script you have, the 2 class sets from Infinite Archive, and which skill lines comprise the trio of skill lines, from which you can use more than one of while subclassing. Everything else is subject to change. In other words, there is no classes anymore. You should have made this exact survey before you push subclassing live. Now all the results you're going to get from this is a mixed bag from people who evaluate their class while taking subclassing into consideration, and people who answer the question based on just the 3 starting skill lines for each class. You poisoned your own data. I can only say, keep it up with the communication. If you're honest about it, the game will eventually get back on track. And I really hope ZOS has the sense to listen to the feedback written under their own Reddit post and their own forum thread. Because while I consider the survey to be a failure, I still think they got a lot of useful feedback under these 2 threads, in the form of comments. Now to show you some more questions from the survey. Take for example, how effective is the Arcanist class as a damage dealer without subclassing? Of course I would still give it a 9 or 8 because of how overpowered the Arcanist is, but that's not the point people have been raising. The real issue is that subclass builds are consistently stronger than pure class builds. That imbalance is what players have been highlighting. Without any incentive to stick to your skill lines, ditching curative rune forms or Sword of the Apocrypha is just a complete no-brainer on a DPS build. Why would you not do that? Another one, the Arcanist class has opportunities to form a unique playstyle, distinct from other classes. Well, it used to, but not anymore. The only distinct thing about Arcanist was building cracks and beaming, but literally any class can do that now. And have a look at, in your opinion, the Arcanist class is best at, and the answers are tanking, damage dealing, healing, and then all kinds of PvP, exploring or questing lumped together. The question is nonsensical. You can't compare PvE healing to PvP healing. You can't compare PvP and PvE at all. And why is PvP lumped together while PvE gets split into different roles? And the funniest thing about it is that there is some corporate dude who thinks that a class could be best at exploration or questing. Please install the game and play it at least once. A class being best at questing is just completely nonsensical. And this is so disrespectful to anyone taking their time to take the survey. So in the end, I don't know if I can encourage you to take the survey. I feel like the only way to give meaningful feedback is to go against the questions and use the text box to say something different than what the survey is asking you. Still, I do want to praise ZOS for at least trying to communicate. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.